Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and get started. For you, those of you who don't know me, my name is Keisha Smith. I am the Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Saginaw, and I work with small businesses within the City of Saginaw, and we offer workshops, commercial lending, and different resources to small businesses within the city. Far as our workshops and different things like that, you don't have to be a small business located in the city to participate because it's free and open to the public, and anybody can receive the information on tonight. We have two types of programs. We have the micro loan, which is $35,000 or less, and we have the macro loan, which is up to $220,000. If you're looking for some type of small business funding for your startup or existing business, or you're looking to expand, or just looking to do some different things within your business. My email address is ksmith@saginaw-mi.com. I'll also put that in the chat. And then my contact number is 989-759-1395. So tonight we're hosting a virtual workshop, and we're going to be focusing on budgeting and finance 101 for small businesses. Miss Charlene Orange is going to be our presenter on tonight, and we're going to go ahead and make way for her, and we're going to get her over to be the host.
Thank you for that introduction, Keisha. All right, you guys, good evening again, and welcome again to the webinar on Budgeting Finance 101 for Small Business Owners. I am Charlene Orange of OCC Consulting, and I am pleased that you can be with us on this evening. I am not a fan of talking about myself, but I do need to tell you all a little bit about me. I am a Saginaw native, born and raised, recently relocated back to Michigan from Georgia in 2018. I received my Bachelor's of Science in Electrical Engineering from the University of Michigan in 2000. I received a second Bachelor's of Science in Psychology from Clayton State University in 2011. That's down in Georgia. And I am midway through my MBA, again at Clayton State, which is down in Georgia as well. I have over 20 years combined of data analysis experience. So I've been crunching numbers for a long time. Started off with engineering, working at a medical device factory. I've done data analysis in the healthcare setting, such as Covenant. I've been a financial analyst, a corporate financial analyst, and currently I am a full-time financial analyst for Brown & Brown Insurance Company. In addition to all of that, I also, like I said, own my own small business, which is OCC Consulting, the Orange Coffee Company. And what I specialize in is bookkeeping for small businesses and helping with other business needs, such as organization. I provide notary services and so forth and so on. Just want to give you guys a quick view of the series. This is a 3-webinar series. So today in this workshop, we're going to talk about the importance of knowing your numbers and the tools that you'll need. And we'll give you a brief introduction into Excel. We won't dive into the spreadsheet today, but we're going to introduce you to it. And then on the second workshop next Monday, right here at the same time, then we're going to dive into the worksheet template, which we'll be providing to you line by line and show you how to use it. Workshop number 3 will be held on June 28th, again, at the same time. And we're going to do an overview of forecasting, and we're going to walk you through a forecasting worksheet that we're going to provide to you. So what will you learn? This workshop is designed to help you learn why you need to account for your finances accurately. Either you do it yourself or you pay someone to do it, but this is the intent of this course is a DIY. But if you just want to learn and have someone doing it for you, but you want to have a better understanding, this will work for you as well. We'll also let you know what numbers you need to track and then how to use Excel to track those numbers. Again, now there are different accounting software packages that you can purchase, such as QuickBooks or FreshBooks, and we'll touch on that later. But the point is to give you the tools that you need to track your finances and show you how to use them no matter which way you decide to go. Now, this series is kind of geared towards presenters, but again, as I said, there's something for everyone. Now that we've told you what you're going to learn, let's talk about what we're not going to learn. We're not going to give any specific advice. We're not going to tell you how to increase your sales numbers or how to increase your profit. We're not going to do that type of thing. We're not going to give any tax advice, stocks advice. We're not even going to speak on the PPP loan, which is a very popular thing. We know it worked out very well for those who genuinely needed them and not so well for those who did not. Um, and at the end of the day, most of what I'm going to be saying to you, you're going to know already. We're just going to be reminding you of things that you already know. It's going to be pretty straightforward. So before I really dive into this, I would like to know by show of hands, or you can use the emoji function that they have there. I'd like to know how many of you guys are already doing business for yourself right now, just by show of hands. All right. And by show of hands, how many of you guys are thinking about going into business for yourselves? Thank you all for responding. Just kind of wanted to get a feel for our audience. All right. So budgeting, finance, and one-on-one use for information for all. We already touched on this. This is useful for those considering going into business for themselves. So if you're thinking about it and you're just getting this information ahead of time, so you'll be ahead of the game and you're prepared and ready to go, that is awesome. For new small business owners, you may have already decided you've already decided you have a way that you might be tracking your expenses and your income. You might be using a notebook or some other method and looking for another way to do it or to upgrade yourself. And again, for current small business owners, you may have someone keeping your books already, or you may be doing it for yourselves and you're just looking for some pointers. Again, we're going to have information for everyone across the board. So again, as I introduce myself, I am a data analysis. I crunch numbers and I can do it across any industry, any application. And so I want to start by saying, what is data analysis? Data analysis, because knowing your numbers is a form of data analysis. It's a simplified form. And so we're going to start there to lay a foundation. So data analysis is the process of cleaning, analyzing, interpreting and visualizing data to discover valuable insights that drive smarter and more effective business decisions. The more you know about where you are, the more you'll know about where you can go and what you can do moving forward. It basically just turns raw data into useful information. And whether you realize it or not, data analysis is part of everyday life. There is not a thing that you can consume or that you can use or that you can think of, that I can think of, where there wasn't someone behind the scenes crunching numbers to make sure that that item was either safe for you to consume, that it was going to be within safety regulations for say a vehicle, and that'll be my next example actually, is when I go into real world examples, vehicle safety and crash test safety. That's really important. But there's not a thing that I can think of where data analysis, where there's not someone in the background crunching numbers, making sure that everything is safe and effective for people to use, consume, buy, that they're happy with it. That's why people do surveys, so forth and so on. That leads me to, why is data analysis so important? Once again, it can help you businesses improve certain aspects about your products or services. If you're doing hair and you want to know from your clients what can you do better, what things they like to see, you do a survey. And that's a form of data analysis. When you do a survey and you get the results from your clients, and that tells you things that you need to do to better serve your customers. Analyze data reveals insights that tell you what you need to run your business more effectively, what your customers need, and where you need to focus your efforts. In this workshop, though, we will particularly focus on what you need to manage and track your finances. So your financial data analysis. Again, as I touched on earlier, data analysis in everyday life, knowing your numbers is important. And we're just going to share a couple examples, additional examples. Example number one, vehicle safety, seatbelt usage, speed limit laws. Those numbers are not randomly set by the government or by MDOT. Those numbers are set as a result of crash test safety testing and accident data, excuse me. So once upon a time, I used to work for the University of Michigan Transportation Research Institute. It's a long word, but it just says OMSRI. And we actually worked with crash test dummies just like this. And of course, the crash test dummies are to simulate injuries that a human body would receive in an accident. And because of the data that we get from that, that's why we have seatbelt laws, which actually seatbelts have existed in cars since about 1950 or so, maybe 1930, but they weren't required by law until 1968. And that's because data analysis shows that those not wearing a seatbelt and who were 30 times more likely to be ejected out of a vehicle. And of those ejected out of a vehicle because of not wearing a seatbelt, three out of four of them are likely to die from their injuries. It's another reason why children have to sit in the back seat, and they have to sit in car seats and booster seats, and they have to face the back, and they can't sit in the front, because the data analysis has shown that they're most likely to be seriously injured, if not killed, because they're not positioned correctly or not in the right proper restraint. So data analysis keeps us safe every day. Every time you put on that seatbelt, just know somebody did some tests and crunched some numbers to make sure that you were able to be safe in that vehicle, you and your family. Example number two of the importance of knowing your numbers, and this is self-data analysis. So if you or anyone you love has diabetes or ever suffered with diabetes, high blood pressure, heart rate issues, that is an extremely important example of knowing your numbers, your self-data analysis, because of course, what do diabetics have to do? They have to measure their blood sugar levels daily, that and track and measure it and share that with the doctor to make sure that things are as they should be. We don't want to see anybody with their sugar get too high, or there are consequences if your sugar gets too low. You all understand my point. And those of us who track our weight and we work out to lose weight, tone up, that's another form of data analysis for your personal health. You can't manage what you don't measure, which is why knowing your numbers is so critically important to your health and to everyday life. Now let's kind of make it real and tie it into our topic tonight, personal finance. How many times, how many times have you all, I'm not going to ask y'all to show your hands this time, but I'm sure we've all done this at some point, is overdrafted our account by mistake. You know, maybe you forgot that you set up that automated payment and went to swipe your card, and all of a sudden you have this $35 fee. It's important to know these numbers. Nowadays we don't have to do the old school thing where once upon a time we had to balance a checkbook, like a physical checkbook with the ledger. I might be dating myself here. I don't know if you all remember those times. That's probably about the time when we had to actually count change and roll it up in the little paper sleeves and take it to the bank. Yeah, we don't have to do that anymore. Now, knowing your numbers for personal finance is just as simple as opening the app on your phone and checking your account balance. So it's important. It's very important. These are just examples to give you a feel for how important data analysis is for yourself and in your everyday life, behind the scenes, the things that you don't know about and can't control, and the things that you do know about, like your personal finance and health, and that you can control. So, for those that are currently in business, I'd like to know if someone wants to volunteer, how do you currently track your business finances? You can respond either in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and just respond for me if you don't mind. I just need one.
I use QuickBooks right now.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And that's very popular. QuickBooks, a lot of people love QuickBooks. Does anyone track their finances, say, in a notebook on pencil and paper somehow?
I've done that too. I just went to QuickBooks.
I want to make a point about that earlier, because well, at least you started. You were tracking your numbers, but doesn't QuickBooks make it so much easier for you?
Yes, hence why I'm in this workshop. I want it to be even easier.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Okay, let me go back. All right, so things that I've seen in my consulting business over the couple of years I've been doing it is that a lot of small businesses and organizations keep handwritten notebooks. And that is awesome because they've gotten started. They're not just guesstimating, they are keeping track. However, it's an auditor's nightmare, and it makes managing your finances very manual. You have to break out the calculator, you might have to carry the one and subtract the two. Whereas if you use an automated spreadsheet in Excel or an application like QuickBooks, the numbers, you just enter the data and the software does the math for you. Another thing I've noticed is that older individuals, and that's not to target that demographic, but some older individuals shy away from using technology. Uh, there was a time when I helped a church organization. I did some work for them, and they had good record keeping, and they had computer access, and they used their computer for several things, but they did not use it to track their finances. So when you think about giving tithes and offering and having to track how much each person gives and doing that by hand, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. It's so much easier if you use technology. So that is why I'm in business, my consulting business, to help people. I love numbers. I love helping people, and this was a great way for me to do it. So I'm sure you guys have heard of many of the reasons that small businesses fail, and we won't tackle all of them, but we will touch on two of them, the ones that are related to money. New businesses often fail because they lack relevant business experience and management expertise in areas such as finance, purchasing, selling, production, hiring, and managing employees. They also have insufficient capital, meaning that they don't have the right amount of money to get started, or they don't understand cash flow, or they don't have a good picture of what they need. And part of that is probably tied to the lack of a business plan. We won't talk about that in this workshop, but that's part of the business plan, is trying to get your funding in order. And even if you're creating your business plan, this will help you, because even though you have not started, you have an idea. You can start putting down on paper and researching the things that you will need, the components, the materials, the supplies, the location, and the costs associated with all of those things, real world costs that you can put into your spreadsheet in your business plan that will help you. And so we are here to help you avoid some of those pitfalls. We want you guys to stay in business, to grow in business, and to graduate from small business to big business. So a big thing that I've learned, and in conversations with Keisha, she's told me as well, that people are intimidated when it comes to math and numbers and money, and they just don't want to deal with it. But we are here to let you know tonight that you don't have to be intimidated. You don't have to be intimidated at all. This is not hard, and you can absolutely do it. With the spreadsheets that we're using, it is basic math. It is addition and subtraction. And the beautiful thing is, you're not doing the math. You're just putting the numbers in and letting the spreadsheet do all the totaling and the adding and subtracting for you. And you also need to know, if you don't know already, that your business is your baby. This is your baby. So if you thought, just think of a real life baby. For example, today, my child had an ear infection, and I didn't know it was an ear infection. I just knew he wasn't quite himself. But I didn't ignore it and just say, hey, well, maybe he'll get better. I'm just going to watch and wait and see what happens. No, you're going to take your child's temperature and just see if you see they have a fever, you're going to give them some medicine. If that's not working, you're going to take them to the doctor. You're going to do what's necessary to take care of your child. Same thing with your business. You need to keep your finger on the pulse of your business, of your finances, to know what's going in, what's coming out, and where you stand, so that your business, which is your baby, can not just survive, but thrive. And also, you need to know, at the end of the day, you can do this. You can absolutely do this. There is no reason to be afraid or intimidated. So I'm going to pause here and ask, is anyone in the audience, have you ever been intimidated by managing your own books? Just by show of hands or in the chat? Is there anything that scares you that maybe we didn't touch on? I don't see any responses, but so that's great. Then no one in this particular group is afraid, and I'm glad to hear it. We got a bunch of soldiers on here. That's right, you guys, we can do this. So next, I'd like to talk about the benefits of tracking your numbers and knowing your numbers. Again, like we said, your business is your baby, so the financial success of your business is at stake. We've already touched on how tracking your finances gives you an up-to-date look at the health of your business. You know where you stand. You know exactly where you stand. You know what's in your account. You might be off a few dollars here or there, but you have a pretty good idea of where you are with what's coming in, what's going out. So if you need to buy more supplies, you know that you have those funds available. You can do planning for the future, for any jobs you might have scheduled. Say you provide services, lawn services, and you have 5 yards to count next week, to cut next week. Then that's forecasting, because you haven't made that money yet, but that money is coming, and you have record of all of that schedule. That type of thing helps you run your business more smoothly. One thing I've noticed in working with my clients is that some of them, they know that they're making money, right? They know that they're making enough money to be okay. And they have an idea in their head, well, okay, I spent $100 on gas for the lawnmower, and I'm about to go cut 5 yards at $35 a yard. So I should be okay, which is fine. But this is math all done in their head. And we all know how math done in our head works out. We're always off by a couple of dollars, or there's always some, unexpected thing that comes up that we have overlooked or forgotten about. And we also miss opportunities for tracking. Like, say you're paying a bunch of late fees, you're not paying attention to it. There's a $3 late fee, or maybe not even late fee. Let's just say you stay getting money out of the ATM at an ATM that's not your bank, for business needs, for whatever reason. Or even if you're swiping your cards these days, at Walmart, they will charge you $1, or at Home Depot, some places they charge you now to get cash back, or what have you. Those little fees add up. And if you're not paying attention to it, that could be a pretty good number. But if you're tracking your spending and what's coming in and going out, you're seeing those small opportunities to save money. When you save money, you make money. So when you look at the numbers, you put them down on paper, you look at trends to say, oh, I spent a lot of money in fees in April, so I want to do better and go to my bank or just carry more cash on me or what have you so that this doesn't happen. It's a way to help. And it's also, like I said, a way to know more accurately how much money you have on hand, what's going in, what's coming out. Additional benefit of tracking your numbers and knowing what's going on with your business is for securing loans and assistance. So when you go to the bank and you want to get a loan, they want to see what's in your account. They want to know your financial history for at least a year. For at least a year. Whenever you're going to ask for money from a bank, or even if you're going to ask for the SEDC, they do loans, as Keisha mentioned earlier. They do various kinds of business loans. They have some grant monies available. But in order to get that money, you have to give them your financial history. You have to give them your financial history. And especially if you're in a crunch for that money and you really need it because, say, you were really impacted by COVID, and many businesses were legitimately impacted by COVID. Now, if you have your books in order, all you have to do is transfer your information from the tracking you've been doing to the forms that are required to secure whatever loans or monies you're trying to get, and you're all set, as opposed to hustling at the last minute trying to find receipts and statements and invoices and put it all together. If you have it together, you don't have to, if you keep it together, you don't have to worry about putting it together because it's already done. Again, with taxes, rolling on with that. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I found that a lot of small business owners, and not just small, a lot of business owners, period, wait until tax time to try to get their financial records in order. And again, that's only more stressful for you, more stressful for your bookkeeper if you have one, if you're paying someone. And it's definitely more stressful for your accountant because it's going to take them more time to sort through what you have. So the more time it takes them, the more money you're going to pay them at least $25, $30 an hour or thereabouts. And lastly, a benefit of tracking and knowing your numbers is if you know where you stand financially, you're better equipped to deal with any unforeseen issues that might eventually come. For example, I'll go back to the lawnmower business, the landscaping business. If your riding mower breaks down and it's a $500 repair, but you only have $200 cash available in your account, what are you going to do? Because you didn't know that, because you weren't paying attention. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's important to know your numbers, to track your numbers. If you're not doing it, to have somebody else do it, but then pay attention to what that other person's doing. Just because you're not actually putting the numbers in, does not mean you don't need to be involved. So, what numbers should you track? Short answer, everything. Everything, everything. Absolutely everything coming out, going out, everything coming in. And you need to have paperwork, receipts, invoices, and so forth. You need that for absolutely everything. How often should you update your bookkeeping and track your finances? It is suggested that you do it at least once a week, to stay on top of it. Now, I know that as business owners, and some of you guys are like me, you're business owners and you're working a full-time job and you're a parent and you volunteer at the church and you have a lot going on. But you're just going to have to, the best way to do this, I would suggest, is to put something on your calendar. Schedule an hour a week or what have you. But if you could do this once a week, that'll definitely save you some stress and some frustration, and it'll give you a more accurate picture again of your finances and where you stand, especially if you have a bill coming up or booth rent or leasing rent for your space. You know what you're working with to be able to get that done with your business finances. I'm going to stop here and ask if anyone has any questions. No questions right now in the chat or by show of hands? All right. You all want me to keep rolling? I'll keep rolling. I didn't want to just talk at you guys for 45 minutes. I wanted to make it, well, it's going to be about 45 minutes to an hour. I will not be talking at you guys for 2 hours today, I promise. But I just kind of wanted to break it up and give you guys a chance to be involved or ask any questions you may have. But since there are no questions, we will keep on going. Before you can even, right now we're just laying the foundation on data analysis, why we do it, bookkeeping, why it's so important. We've laid all that groundwork. Now let's talk about what we need to start tracking our data. So the first thing you need is a separate business checking account. That is not your personal account. Need to stress that again. I'm going to get into it a little later, but it is ideal that you keep your business finances separate from your personal finances. I know that when you're first starting off small, it might be difficult to do that, but as soon as you're in a place where you can get a business checking account, I highly implore you to do so. The next thing you have to have are sales, receipts, invoices, and documentation of any money's coming in, any money's going out. Period. Microsoft Word and Excel both have invoice templates that you can modify to suit your needs. I use one for my personal business. We're actually going to provide you with one as part of this workshop with an invoice that you can modify and use for your personal business as well. Next, you need to get organized. Once you have all your paperwork together, once you have your business checking account, you need to have a place to put all your paperwork and business related expenses so that it's readily available. You might have receipts in your car, you might have receipts in your purse, you might have receipts in your Bible, and that's all fine and well. But at some point, you need to gather all of those things from all of those places and put them in one location so that when it's time to sit down and start tracking your numbers and entering your numbers into your spreadsheet, you have them right there and you're not hunting around. That's a good question. So Shirley asked, do you recommend keeping registered receipts, or is it okay to scan them and keep them in a file? You can scan them and keep them in a file. You can definitely, it doesn't necessarily, as long as you have record of it and you can get hold of it, that's all fine and well. Because nowadays, a lot of things are done electronically, and I'm going to touch on that as well. With PayPal and Venmo and Apple Pay, a physical receipt is not always the standard. And as long as you have record of it and you can save it somewhere in your computer in a file, that is more than acceptable. And then lastly, once you have all of those other things in place, now you're ready to access the tools. So let's talk about these one by one. Again, I mentioned you need to open a business checking account. To open a business checking account, you need 4 things at a minimum. You need a tax ID, EIN, TIN number. You can get one for free from the IRS, from irs.gov, and it is done instantly. There's not a process where you have to pay and wait a couple of days. Once you complete that application on irs.gov, it immediately gives you your new EIN number, and then it emails it to you. So it's a very easy, user-friendly process. You'll also need your social security number, proof of incorporation, and a business license or business name filing paperwork. Now, these are the things that you'll need at a minimum, but some institutions may require additional documentation. I found that for business checking accounts, credit unions are typically cheaper and less expensive and have lower fees than national banks. National banks usually have higher fees and higher minimum balances as well. But looking at like the research that I looked at Health Advantage Credit Union and I looked at Team One Credit Union, both locally here in Saginaw, and they want anywhere between $25 and $100 to open a business checking account, which is not bad. National banks, I've seen, don't quote me, but I'm thinking Chase might want 500 or 1,000. I know Bank of America wants a good bit of money for a business checking account, and they want you to keep a higher minimum balance. And when you're just starting out, that might be kind of difficult because your business may not be generating that kind of income, but it's okay. Even if you bank with a national bank, it is still fine to go to a credit union and to find out the rates and costs of their business checking accounts. And then once your business picks up momentum and you're making more money and you want to switch your account to a bigger bank or the same bank as your personal bank, then I suggest that. But I just wanted you guys to have that information with the cost. So why is it important to have a business checking account? I'll just briefly go over these two slides because I touched on it earlier. Securing loans and funding. Lenders don't prefer to offer loans to businesses using personal checking accounts, and it makes it hard to determine what the cash flow is. Same thing for grants and government organizations offering financial assistance. And on top of that, they're going to ask, a lot of times they'll ask for a bank statement, and you don't necessarily want them all in your business like that. They don't need to know that you just got your nails done or that thing you spent the money on that had nothing to do with your business. So, in order to just really keep the business stuff business, we really need a checking account for that, and that keeps people out of your personal stuff as well. And I already touched on mixing your business with personal. It's the same thing with your accountant. Do you want your accountant to be all in your personal business as well as your business business? I'm not here to judge. I'm not saying, but it's just best that it makes things easier. Also, God forbid you ever get audited. They're, two separate pools of money, so they don't have to go through all of your personal business and your business business. They can just go through your business business and it's all right there for you. And it's also easier for your accountant to identify things that might be tax deductible come tax time too. So keep that in mind. So once you have your account, now let's talk about business invoices and receipts. We all know what an invoice is. We all know what a receipt is. But I'll just read the definition anyway. It is a written or electronic documentation of a transaction from the merchant to the consumer. It is your proof of sale. And it is important that you have it and that you keep it. This is a copy of the template that we're going to provide for you all. But if you have Microsoft Word, it is readily available. It can be used as an invoice. It can be used as a sales receipt. You can just fill out the pertinent information and use it like that. Again, we're going to provide this to you as part of this workshop series, but it's in Microsoft Word for you. Business invoices and receipts are important for record keeping, tax purposes, legal issues. Again, these are things you already know, especially if you've been in business for a while, but we're just reiterating here, especially for those that are just thinking about going into business. It can be paper or electronic. As long as you store it and you keep it, that's fine. You can put your hands on it. Nowadays, as I briefly touched on earlier, a lot of transactions are done using Cash App, PayPal, Apple Pay, Venmo, all of that. And I found that if you tie those to your email account, and most of them have a spot on your account information where you can add your email address. Someone Cash Apps you for $30 for a product. Cash App sends you an email. Hey, coffee just sent you $30 for a cup. That email, that's a receipt. That works. So, and when it's time to enter that information into your spreadsheet, you can either just, save all those emails in one file. And so you can just enter them, $30 from Coffee, $30 from Tiffany, $30 from Keisha. You can go through your emails and check them off one by one and enter that into your spreadsheet. But there are two types of invoices, paper or electronic. There is a slight distinction between invoices and sales receipts, but for the purposes of your business, you can use them interchangeably. They use a lot of the same information, But typically an invoice is something that you would use for something that you're going to be paid for in the future. I might invoice my clients for services that, I've performed, but they don't have to pay me right now. I send them a bill, they get me paid. A receipt is typically what you get at the store. You go to McDonald's, you get a milkshake, they give you a receipt. That's, immediate payment. But for purposes of your business, if somebody gives you immediate payment or if they're paying you in the future, you can use the same document. And again, this is the customizable template that we will be providing to you guys as a part of this workshop. Lastly, now that you have all your paperwork together, what you bought, what you sold, all of that good stuff, you need to have a place to put it. It does not have to be super fancy. You don't have to have OCD with it. It could be crude or detailed, whatever works best for you. You can have a box that says expenses and a box that says income, and you throw everything in those two boxes. And then when you're ready to start entering, then you sort it out. Whatever works for you, we are not here to judge as long as it's getting done. That's the most important part. But I think once you get into it, your organization skills are just going to grow with it. You'll get better and finesse it moving forward. But it's important that you have some level of organization, whether anyone else understands it other than you does not matter as long as you understand it. Lastly, now that you have all your other ducks in a row, you got your business checking, you got your invoices, you're all organized with your paperwork. Now we're ready to use our tool. We're ready to use our tools. Just a quick comparison. We have Microsoft Excel or other spreadsheeting software. And for purposes of this series, this particular workshop series, we're going to be using Microsoft Excel. But we wanted to make sure you knew that there were other options for you out there, such as Quickbooks. Now, Microsoft Excel, if you have a computer, you've bought one in recent years, it usually comes with Office, which is usually on your computer already. But if it is not, it's still an affordable piece of software, and you can use it on as many devices as you need to. But if you don't have access to Microsoft Excel, some alternatives are Google Sheets, which are free. If you have a Gmail account, you should have access to it for free. There's Numbers and there's Free Office 2016. With QuickBooks, there is a monthly fee associated with it, and they have various levels of it, but we'll get into that in the next slide. And some alternatives to QuickBooks are Xero, FreshBooks, and Wave, and those are also associated with monthly fees as well. But whichever way you decide to go, both options will allow you to grow and modify as your business needs change. So you're not just stuck. So let's take a closer look at QuickBooks. I know we had one. Ooh, QuickBooks is on sale at Best Buy. And we are not anti QuickBooks, okay? I just want you guys to know that. We love QuickBooks. But for purposes of this workshop, we were just trying to give you all the information, and for those, who are really just trying to minimize overhead options, free options for them to use that are readily available. But quick look at QuickBooks. Various plans to suit your needs. As you see here, they have different packages at different prices made specifically for accounting purposes. The only thing you're going to do with QuickBooks is accounting work. You're not going to do any other kind of data. But I mean, if you're in business and that's what you need, then that's what you need. You're not, I don't think you're going to do like surveys or customer satisfaction, that type of thing. But it's plug and play, no formulas. It works with other Intuit programs for taxes and loans. And they have, again, lots of great features where they will do invoices for you. But a lot of that, it also comes with a fee. Cons, of course, there are costs associated with it. The limited ability to customize and do specialized reporting. And as with anything with QuickBooks, it makes it easier, but you still have to put the numbers in. You still have to enter the data. They do have an option where you can take a picture of your receipts, which is great. But if there are some things you have to manually enter, it's subject to human error, but that's with anything. So we're going to take a quick look at QuickBooks with this video really quick. It's about a minute and a half, y'all.
No matter your business, financial peace of mind means everything. Having the freedom to focus on the day-to-day while knowing you're set up down the road. QuickBooks gives you the tools to make it happen. It starts with the dashboard. Everything's there, all your linked bank and credit card accounts. This gives you insight into how your business is doing at a glance. Ready to send some invoices? Great, but don't send any generic invoice. Customize for a lasting impression. All while giving your customers an instant way to pay. Even on the go, track expenses like mileage or snap and store a receipt. Got it. So long, shoebox. It doesn't stop at tracking your income and expenses. QuickBooks even sorts them, so you don't miss deductions. And the receipt you snapped? Matched automatically. Tax time just went paperless. With customizable tags, label and track transactions however you want. Tag what's important, like seasonal promotions and marketing channels. That way you get insights tailored to your business. Looks like the spring promotion was a success. Nice. QuickBooks keeps you a step ahead and allows you to focus on what matters most. The chance to grow your passion from the ground up.
All right, so that's QuickBooks. And as we can see, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And even if you have QuickBooks and you decide, okay, I don't have time to do my bookkeeping, I am going to hire someone or, have someone else do it. You can make anyone an administrator and they can manage your QuickBooks for you. So that's another option. Now let's take a closer look at Microsoft Excel. Pros, it's free if you have Microsoft Office. They have tons of pre-made templates. It's completely customizable, great for sorting data and various reporting. You can do pretty much anything that you want and slice and dice things however you want them in Excel, but you have to know how to do it. That's the key. You have to have the training. What we're going to show you guys today is pretty straightforward. Anybody can do it. It's just one simple equation, basically, where you're going to use an equal sign and a plus sign and or minus sign, and really not even that much. No, just the equal sign and your numbers, but we'll get into that later. Cons, like I said, there's a slight learning curve. And as with QuickBooks, anything that you have to manually enter is subject to human error. So if you put 50 where you meant to put 500, your numbers will be off, but you'll see that, you'll catch that because when you go back and check, you'll realize something's off. So let's do a brief introduction into Microsoft Excel. This is about a minute as well.
You've got mountains of data. Wouldn't it be great if you could find the story behind the numbers on your own? That's why there's the new Excel. In these courses, you'll see how Excel is the best app for reviewing and editing spreadsheets at work, at home, and everywhere in between. As you enter data, Excel recognizes patterns, so it can automatically fill in the remaining info for you. Then, after you've entered your data, Excel helps you spot trends and patterns using data bars, spark lines, color coding, and icons. Excel even helps you summarize and illustrate your insights by recommending pre-made data tables and charts. And when you're all done, you can let others view or edit your work at the same time by saving to the cloud on OneDrive. You don't even need a PC. You just need a browser or the Excel mobile app. Learn how to uncover the story behind the numbers with Excel.
Okay, and again, as I mentioned, most of you all probably have access to Microsoft Excel as part of the Microsoft Office suite of products. But if you don't, they have various options at various price points, as you can see here, starting at $5, going up to $20 a month. And then they have one-time pay features too, where you pay about $100 outright and be good with it. Are there any questions at this point? Anybody have any questions? No questions? Wait, I think I saw something. Hold up. That's a good question. I would honestly have to say in terms of, it depends on how, so the question was, if you guys haven't seen it, of these products, which one do you think is more user friendly? And I'm leaning towards saying QuickBooks, quite honestly. I'm leaning towards QuickBooks because it's an app, and we're used. I mean, you can use it on your computer, but it's an app, and we're also used to using apps. We have an app for everything. I would venture to say QuickBooks is probably more user friendly, but again, it comes at a monthly fee and cost. With Excel, if you're familiar with it, if you have your spreadsheet in order, you can still access it from anywhere. You just upload it to your Google Sheets account, and you can get it from your phone. You can share it with whoever you want to have it. So I guess it depends on the user, but I think generally speaking, I'd have to lean towards QuickBooks being more user friendly. Thank you for that question. So again, for purposes of this particular seminar, we're using a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. How many of you guys, by show of hands, have used Microsoft Excel before and are familiar with it? Like, you can at least go to it and open up a blank workbook or create a new document. I see plenty of hands going up. That's good. That is awesome. And so we had about 5 people said that they have used Microsoft Excel. I would venture to say that there are more. And so today we're just going to introduce you to the spreadsheet that we're going to use. We are not going to dive into it. And I asked that question because in the next workshop, it's going to be all Microsoft Excel hands-on. And I needed to know where we're starting. So I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, and I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable for not knowing a thing. So we're going to start from the very beginning with just opening a document in Excel. And we'll teach you the basic features, what you need to know in order to function. It's not that hard. And I'll point out to you where there are tutorials. They actually have tutorials within Excel itself that you can go through and that will walk you through and show you how to do basic things in Excel. But next week, we're going to do a deep dive into Excel using the budgeting spreadsheet that we have created and modified for you. And this is the budgeting template that we have created for you. On the right hand here, you'll see your cash receipts and cash paid out. So this is all of your income, and this is everything going out. And you have a column for each year, and it's going to total it all up. This is your overview page. All of these areas are completely customizable. If anything does not pertain to you, you don't have to use it. If it does, you can use it. But this here is your overview page. So, and you'll see this next week, but I wanted to introduce it to you today. So this sheet is your overview sheet, kind of like your dashboard. This is the equivalent of your dashboard in QuickBooks. This is where you're going to come and say, okay, it's June now. All of my numbers are in from January. Where am I, what am I looking like? Am I in the red or am I in the green? This pulls in all the data from each month. As you can see down at the bottom of the screen, each month has a tab, and they match the overview. So you're going to enter your data on the monthly tab. So this is where the numbers for January are going to go. When you enter the numbers for January on the January tab, it's going to it's set up to where it's automatically going to pull it into the January column here. So there's no math for you to do. You're just going to enter your numbers here, and it automatically goes there. And that's the beauty of it. Like I said, so it's like QuickBooks, but slightly more manual, and it's free. And again, like I said, this is the monthly view. Every month is going to look the same in terms of the layout. And anything can be modified however you need to modify it for your business purposes. So this is good if you are, like I said, you're doing hair, lawn work, if you sell cups, if you sell jewelry, whatever your product or service is, you can modify this, and we can show you how to modify it to suit your needs for free, just to get you started. And you can always graduate to a QuickBooks or some other accounting software later. But if you're just getting started and you want to get away from the notebook, this is going to bless your life. Any questions at this point? We're wrapping it up, y'all. We're wrapping it up. Did you have a question in mind, or are you just unmuted by mistake?
No, I was curious because I'm kind of struggling. Is it best to organize your receipts and all the stuff you've got going on by month or by type?
I suggest by month. Great question. By month, because if I go back to the spreadsheet that we provided here, it's all separated by month. It's all separated by month. So when you get to January, you're just going to put all of your January numbers in, and then you're done with January. Now, once you get all your data in, if you want to separate it by type, that's fine, whatever works for you moving forward, but definitely I would say by month. Definitely. Great question.
So maybe a monthly review, and then when like you gather for your taxes or something, you could do by buckets.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great question. Thank you for that. Any other questions?
Charlene, I have a question for you.
Sure.
When it comes to, we are like a new business that's just getting going in the last couple of months, but before this, the last 6 months was nothing but
Mm-hmm.
spending money, lots of
Mm-hmm.
expenses. So I'm trying to figure out how to go back and capture. We have started documenting in an Excel spreadsheet what we have spent and kind of settling up from there. But what do you think as far as, like, neither one of us have like every single receipt for the last 5 or 6 months? How do you initially start that compiling of those receipts?
Well, I mean, and that's a common struggle that a lot of new business owners have. So you're not alone in that. But I would track as much as I would track as much as I could. I would go back as far as I possibly could, check your emails, check Amazon, check Amazon Prime. I can almost bet that you may have bought something for business purposes off of Amazon Prime and used it. And so you could look at your orders there. We buy a lot of stuff online, but if your business is such that, if it's food based and you spend a lot of time at the grocery store, or if it's investment properties and you spend a lot of time at the Home Depot or the Lowe's buying supplies and things of that nature, then you are going to have some items that were lost. But I would check those non-traditional places again, like I said, your Amazon account, check your credit card account, check your bank statement, anything that you might have swiped your card for. And there's a description on there. And if it rings a bell that you spent $30 at Home Depot, and oh, that's the day I bought those flowers for the yard or whatever. So go through all of those steps, capture what you can. And if there's something that comes to your remembrance, don't just discount it because you don't have the paperwork for it. If you know you spent $100 on the thing and you just can't find the receipt, account for that. Now, you don't want to make it a habit of it, but just for good record keeping, it's good to know everything you put in the business to get started for it. Is it too?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did that help?
It did, and I've already been kind of doing some of those things, so I'll just keep along that track.
Yep,
Thanks.
absolutely. You are doing the exact right thing. I have a question in the chat. Hold up, y'all. Let me get to it. Is it true that you can go back 3 years on receipts for your first tax return? Is the tax return unfiled or is it filed? Are you trying to amend a tax return? Unfiled. If it's unfiled, then yeah. I mean, I'd run that by an accountant, but I'm 95% sure that if it's unfiled and that's part of your taxes from say 2018 and you have all of your receipts, then yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question. Is it common to be in the red when first beginning a business? It can be, because startup costs can be really expensive. Startup costs can be really expensive. And once you got started up, say you're in food service and you're opening up a restaurant, even if you're opening a food truck, let's just use a food truck example. You have to pay for the truck. Very good, very good. Oh, so Tammy opened up a food truck. Congratulations, first of all, Tammy. And are you located locally so I can come get some food and restaurant? Okay. Well, you'll have to tell us more about it so we can come visit. I love to eat. Well, let me get back on task and get on your question. Absolutely. It's going to take a minute you're going to be in the red for a second when you first start that type of restaurant, a type of business, because the equipment alone costs a lot of money. The space costs a lot of money. And then you have to buy the food to prepare to serve customers. And then, I'm sure you're going to have some type of help. You have to pay people. So there's a lot of money that's going to be put out front in the beginning. So, but once you get open and you get into business, and start getting customers, then yeah, that turns around.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that's expensive stuff. You can't just open a restaurant with the same air fryer that I got from Best Buy. You have to have a commercial grade air fryer, or commercial grade equipment, and that is not cheap. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we're finding payroll is probably one of our biggest drags is payroll with taxes and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And if you have not seen the SEDC for any type of assistance, I highly encourage you to send an email to Keisha to see what types of things that might be available for you to kind of offset some of that for you, especially with COVID. Because trying to opening up, you're not trying, you've done it, that type of business with the impact that COVID-19 has had on the restaurant and food service industry in general. Yeah, I would imagine that there would be some assistance out there available for you. Great question, Tammy. Thank you. Any other questions? We're nearing the end, y'all. We're just gonna sum it up. All right, so no other questions at this point, so I'll get ready to close it out and see if there are any other questions after that. So in summary, what we talked about today is what you need to get started. You need a business checking account. You need invoices, sales receipts, documentations of all money coming in and going out. You need a filing system, and most of all, you need the tools. We're providing you with the tool, and by way of the spreadsheet that I just showed you. But if you are more comfortable with QuickBooks, and I think Tammy, somebody told me it was on sale. You can go online and get it. Whatever works for you, as long as you have the right tools and you're ready to use them. And then we want to remind you, don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's simple math. You can do it. Aim to upkeep your books at least weekly so you won't be overwhelmed. Your business is your baby. Remember, your business is your baby. You're not going to let your baby starve to death. You got to make sure that your baby is well nourished and taken care of, and they eat a good hot meal. They're nice and clean. Do the same thing for your business. And I want you to remember and to know that you could absolutely do this, and we are here to help. You know what? I did not share my contact information on here, but I will share it in the chat with Keisha as well. In case there are follow-up questions, you can feel free to email me. Just want to remind you on workshop number 2 coming up next Monday, same bat time, same bat channel at 6 p.m., where we'll be taking a deep dive into Excel and walking through this spreadsheet line by line, showing you how to use it. Any other questions at this point? Well, you guys have been great. You have been great. We appreciate you tuning in with us tonight and giving us your time, your attention. It has been my pleasure to be of service. I am grateful to Keisha for creating these opportunities for small business owners and being a resource. And we thank you.
I have a quick question for you.
Absolutely.
So I got in late. Did I read that you all are going to have this where I can go back and look at it?
Absolutely. This webinar was recorded, and when the playback is ready, they're going to send you an email to let you know that it's ready.
Okay, then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, we want to say thank you to Ms. Charlene for being our presenter on tonight on Finance and Budgeting 101. This is the first session of 3 sessions, so there will be 2 more sessions to follow. The next one on the 21st, Monday at 6 p.m., and then on the 28th at 6 p.m. So we'll be doing this series of workshops, and Ms. Charlene will be our presenter on each of those nights. Do you have anyone else have any questions? Any questions in reference to SEDC? So I know some people kind of jumped on as we're going. Again, I am the Economic Development Coordinator. I did put my information in the chat, my email address as well as my phone number. So you can reach out to me via email or phone if you have any questions, or if you know anyone else that would like to register and be a part of the workshop. There is still time to register. So although they missed the first session, the session was recorded on tonight. So once it's available, that recording is available, we will make that readily available to those who are registered. As well as we have a YouTube page on for the city of Saginaw. You could search that as well. If you put in the city of Saginaw and put in budgeting and funding workshop, you'll find that the workshop will be there as well. What is SEDC's website? We have a question. What is SEDC's website? So our website is inclusive of the city of Saginaw. If you look up the city of Saginaw, and then you go under the department tab, you'll see under community and economic development, you'll see Saginaw Economic Development Corporation. So again, it's inclusive of the city's website. So go to the city of Saginaw, go to the department tab, click on community and economic development, and then you'll see Saginaw Economic Development Corporation. And you'll find more information about some of our products, some of the things that we have going on, and things of those nature. And Tiffany, thank you so much, Tiffany. She has put the link there in the chat. I want to thank Tiffany on tonight for creating our events and being our automation coach. And she does an awesome, awesome job. Thank you so much, Tiffany.
Absolutely.
All right. With that being said, we will see you all on next Monday at 6 o'clock. Ms. Charlene will present again. She'll dive into the Excel spreadsheet itself. And you guys will receive a copy of the spreadsheet as well before next week's session. All right. Well, you guys have a good night. And I want to thank you again for being in attendance tonight. We truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, you all.